whatever I thought I was going to talk about tonight, which in this moment I can't even remember, has been totally transformed by listening to these three great souls, and of course Swamiji and his music and the videos of him. This morning when I sat down to meditate, I was looking at my altar, and my altar, of course, has pictures of the masters and a big picture of Swamiji and a big picture of Master. But it has a lot of little gifts that have been given to me over the years, each one with a deep meaning. And I was just letting myself take it in, and I started realizing, or really just having the experience, that everything on that altar, even though it could look like, there's a beautiful angel that Vasudeva gave me, I don't know, 25 years ago, 20, I'm not sure, or a beautiful Om sign that Kamala Devi gave me years ago when I had a surgery. It just went on, but every place that I looked, my mind seemed to follow a thread from that particular item back to Swami Kriyananda. I wasn't looking for that. I didn't sit thinking, let's see where I can find Swamiji. But he was so present in everything in that altar. And then I looked around my home. It's not a big house, but it's spacious enough. And it's hard to find anything in the house, anything that doesn't, again, take me back to Swamiji. Came to me through somebody. There's a story that's connected to it, and they tell the story, and it's about Swamiji. And then I realized that that was true in most of my friends' homes in the community. And I thought, this man, this great, great soul, came and he lived, and the ripples of his consciousness, of his heart, of his generosity are just going out in every direction. It felt like magnificent concentric circles of divine love. And I was thinking to myself, wow, 50 years that Ananda's been around, of course, more that Swamiji was around. And then it came to me, because that 50 years is a significant period of time, and then suddenly it felt so small, and I felt this is just the very beginning, that what Swamiji came to bring. We're so early in Dwapara, in expanding consciousness. The world can't really yet receive what Swamiji brought. The other morning we had a question and answer program here. And one of the questions was, if these teachings are as great as we feel them to be, I'm probably getting the question wrong, but not by much, why are there so few who are following this path? It's a very good question. And I won't go into the big answer that I gave, but this morning that question came back to me. So few right now given the depth, the breadth, the truth, the pure love, the eternal truth, the Sanatana Dharma of what Swamiji came to bring us. It looks like very few people. But then I felt such joy about just the knowing, which I did in the moment. This is just the beginning. Just like Master says when he was speaking to Swamiji about the autobiography of a yogi, and he said, my energies in that book, or at the garden party when he said, these words are planted in the ether, meaning energy. They've brought this energy, a vibration, a very high vibration. It doesn't leave. It's not going anywhere. And I just thrilled at the idea of generation after generation of people who would come to feel the teachings and feel Swamiji. You know, it's interesting looking around at who's speaking tonight. Keshava was, of course, born and raised at Ananda village, but James and Lakshmi and even Sai Ganesh, who sang, and myself, I've been around longer than any of them with Ananda. Interestingly, even Keshava, although he was born and raised there. But still, my connection to Swamiji was unusual. It was very deep, but it was not all that often. I was not one of the founders of Ananda. I arrived there in 1979. And I'm saying this right now because we're listening to people speak and sing and express the essence of what Swamiji came to teach us, who rarely saw him, never mind had any personal time with him, and yet listen and feel, I know all of you are with me. They're just, he's got to be smiling, like, yes, it worked. My vibration is being shared. I've been thinking today about, because in these last 2 days I've been listening to so many people talk about Swamiji, just to get ready to be here, and listening to Swamiji himself. And then this morning there was this beautiful meditation with Jyotish and Devi and their words, and Sai Ganesh gave a beautiful class really relating it to Swamiji. Asha gave her satsang. Just listening to all of it. Almost everybody mentions the books, all 150 of them, the music, over 400 pieces. Swamiji himself never forgets to mention his photographs, the colonies, on how many continents. It's so remarkable, and all done exactly with the vibration, consciously, thoughtfully, that Master would want to put out into the world, with Swamiji's great contribution of how to be the perfect disciple. And I was thinking about all of that, and just how great it is, and the way in which he did it. The story that's told so many times. Swamiji was made a disciple the day he met Master, then very quickly became a Kriyaban, and very soon after that, most of you will know this story, Bernard comes to Swamiji and says, by the way, Master wants you to go tomorrow down to San Diego, I think it was, and give the talk. Everybody was waiting for Master. And after the talk, he wants you to do a Kriya initiation. And Swamiji says, a Kriya initiation? I just myself had my first Kriya. And how many times he said to Master, I don't want to speak. I don't want to write. Hasn't everything been written, he said? And Master said, don't say that. those are stories we've heard. I was listening to them these last couple of days, and I thought, for me, the punchline is he did it. He did it without, it took a moment like, give Kriya, and then he went and he did it. He always went and did it, which is just such a beautiful example of who he was. The perfect example. And he said to me one time, he looked me right in the eye. He said to me, Shanti, I've never been afraid. Then he said, let me think about that. Then he said, yep, that's true. I've never been afraid. Meaning, when he went to give the talk that Master was going to give, when he had to give a Kriya initiation, and everything else he's done. I was thinking about all of this morning. But then, after listening to so many people speak about Swamiji, and tonight too, so it just affirms it for me, what touched my heart just transformed me in these last couple of days is that the biggest gift that Swamiji brought to us was his deep desire, his unending commitment to wanting to help us reach our highest potential. He said many times, Master didn't come to tell us or show us how great he was. He came to show us our own greatness. This is exactly what Swamiji did. Story after story. He would be with each individual person, thousands, if not tens of thousands of people, consistently every moment offering them their next step, a way to open their heart, to live more in terms of truth, of love. He was so caring about it. As long as you were willing, ready to receive it, Swamiji was there for you, for us, for every one of us, over a lifetime. Think about that. And it was always perfect. That's what we're hearing in these talks tonight. That's what you read in every story in Asha's book, Swami Kriyananda, as we have known him. The uniqueness, the extraordinary presence there, one by one by one. Our job is to do everything we can do, which is what's been being said tonight, to invite his consciousness in, to be willing to receive him. This morning in Asha's satsang, she said something that was so meaningful. She was talking about how rarely Swamiji ever gave her any direct guidance. But then, it was the celebration of us having acquired this beautiful community that we have. She said it came to her as she was speaking about all of what happened to get the community. She said in her satsang, she said, I literally had to move aside and make sure I wasn't blocking Swamiji, because I realized I didn't do any of it. Swami may not often have said to any of us, do this, do that, how about this? Not never, but mostly this great wisdom guidance comes as a thought that he puts out into the ether, as an inspiration. And if we have done what we need to do to attune ourselves, to be listening, to have ears to hear, we pick it up. We might in a moment actually think it was our idea, because thoughts are actually universal and not individually rooted. But still, we have had this teacher who loves us, who knows us, who loves us unconditionally. How many of us have experienced that in this whole lifetime, to be loved by somebody who only wants for you to reach your highest potential? What a gift. And I thought that is our charge in this life. You know, it's no accident that we were drawn to Swamiji. It comes with great good karma. And there's a dharma there. And that dharma for us, everybody's been speaking of it, do what we need to do, really to find God, to feel that love, or in this way that I'm speaking about it, to reach our own highest potential, which of course will be knowing God. Swamiji said so often, I want to know God and I want to share God with everyone. And he offers that to us. It doesn't matter that that body is gone. If we tune into him, he is so present. We've all felt it. That's what everybody's been speaking about. That's what I was feeling this morning. All roads led to Swamiji. It was so beautiful. You know, Dhyana asked Swamiji years before he died, will you be able to help us after you're gone the way you help us now? And she said he got very quiet, very thoughtful. And after a pause, he looked at her and he said to her, I certainly hope so. And she says, I've heard her tell this story a couple of times now. She said it was years later. This is how these lessons come. This is exactly how lessons come. Oh, that's what Swamiji meant. That's why he said that to me. It happens to me a lot. But Dhyana said years later, she realized he got quiet and he went inside and then used those words, I certainly hope so. Not, I hope I have it in me to still be able to be there for you. Of course not. I hope so meant, I hope that you will be doing all that you can do to be attuned to me, to be open to me, to be ready to receive the help in the form of true divine love, perfect guidance for your soul, for everyone's soul, for your soul. I will, of course, be sending that. And he said, I certainly hope that you will be able to receive it.